Today is Tuesday, the 26th of January 2016. This is a video about managing, creating and using disease flags. If you're going to use a disease flag, you have to first of all create the flags by opening up the configuration tool. That's this icon up on top here. So once you open the configuration tool, you then have to click on Tools and Configure Analysis Status. This analysis status is in fact disease flags. So here we have disease flags. By default there are always two disease flags, chronic renal failure and diabetes. So when you open Health 1, these should be there anyway. You can create a new disease flag from here, and I am using the flag for the diabetes cycle of care called Diabetes Scheme, SCH, Diabetes Scheme. So I'm not using diabetes because diabetes covers all diabetics. I'm just personally, I like to use the flag called Diabetes Scheme for the diabetes patients who have medical cards and therefore are eligible for the cycle of care. So once I create that flag, I could also create another flag called asthma for my under 6 asthmas. So double click on asthma from that side and bring it over to this side. You could also do it, and I have done it, for hypothyroidism or COPD or whatever I like. Let's put in hypothyroid. That's another disease flag. So now I have 4 disease flags. I'm going to move the diabetes scheme up to the top by clicking on this up button here. It goes up one and up another. And I'd move asthma up as well near it. Click on the up button and the up button. Now I have these flags created. So I repeat that. To create a new disease flag, you have to open the configuration tool and click on Tools, Configuration Analysis Status. That really should read Configure Disease Flags, because that's exactly what it is. Now I'm going to show you how to assign these disease flags. First of all, I'm going to assign the diabetes scheme flag to all my patients who have diabetes type 2 and who have a medical card. To do this, I will click on the button here, which is the analysis button. Likewise, in order to get to that, I could click Analysis, Database Analysis down here. That is exactly the same, the little glasses here, as it is clicking on this button here. And if you type in cycle of care, for example COC, you will see at the bottom, and everybody has this, Health 1 Analyses Cycle of Care. So this is a list of everybody who has diabetes type 2 tagged, as opposed to flagged, tagged in the basic medical information, in the problem item, or in the medical history item. So I click Execute and I get my list of patients. In this small database I have 4 patients. I now want to flag all of these patients. In every analysis there is a little flag button here, flag the result. So once I flag the result, I'll get a list of all my flags. If I didn't have the particular flag I want in this button, I could click on Configure and I'd get back to where I was in the configuration tool, and I could add a new disease flag, such as, for example, COPD. Let's just double click on COPD and put that in as well. But in this instance I want to flag all of these patients with the diabetes scheme. Am I sure I want to apply the flag to these patients? The answer is yes. And all patients will be flagged. What does that mean? If I close the analysis and I refresh my screen, you will see that I have a diabetes scheme flagged here. So I can, within the patient selector, immediately get a list of all my patients who are in this diabetes cycle of care. Likewise, if I have a very big list, I can simply click on this button and go to the flag. Okay, so sometimes that's not refreshed until you close this and open it again. And you go to the HCR, and then your item here is refreshed, and you can just see your diabetes scheme patient. So these are not now registered with the cycle of care, either in Health One or online necessarily, but they're just flagged. You don't have to do this for the diabetes, but you can do it. If a patient walks in the door and you decide, like Fred, that he has diabetes, but he wasn't caught in the analysis and you didn't do an analysis on him, but he walks in and he has diabetes, you can open the patient file, and at any time you can give him a diagnosis of diabetes here by right-clicking and add a problem, diabetes space type 2, and I put in here the date of the start date of his diabetes, and this is very important, nothing to do with the flags, but if you're giving a start date to the problem, you should put it in under start date here, and I can put in 04/2002, for example. I don't have to put in a full date. But I can also, now that I have told myself that he has diabetes, I've tagged him, in other words, within the file. He's now tagged as having diabetes. I can flag him directly from clicking on HCR button up here and go down to disease flag, and now I have a list in here of all my disease flags, and I'll give him a flag directly of diabetes scheme. I'll repeat that. You can give a list of patients a disease flag by doing an analysis, such as cycle of care type 2 diabetes, and you can flag them all here, and you can configure it here if you don't want to go into the configuration tool separately. That's one way of flagging a lot of patients. And you can flag any individual patient by simply opening the file, click on HCR, disease flag, and then tick the flag. So he is flagged. I'm going to close this file and save the file, and I'm going to refresh the patient selector, and you see that diabetes Fred has been flagged. So that's how to flag your patients with any chronic illness, not just diabetes scheme. I repeat, this is not essential to do for managing your patients with the cycle of care for diabetes or asthma, but we are recommending it because it's a very handy thing to do. You can see the disease flag up here, and if you don't have this column here, then you can click on configure down here, and you can decide what columns up here you want to display, including at the bottom of this list you'll see disease flag. So if that's ticked, it means it will come up here somewhere. Likewise with registered with cycle of care. That's the end of this video. Thank you.